You and your husband built a company, sold it for $1.2 billion.
I believe it was $1.7 billion evaluation. So we just started doing all types of businesses. Started thinking of any kind of sales business, and we would take those failures, and instead of drowning, we kept on swimming. The building is condemned. Nobody could live there. We don't have the insurance money. We don't have any more money because we're leveraged to the hill, and the world's crashing.
I tell my mom all the time, I was like, look, you did not come here and bust your ass and run away from communism for me to be a loser. All right, so we're here for the first episode in a little bit of Flippin SoFlo. With me is Sofia Castro. Sophie or Sofia, which one?
Either one. I like them both.
Okay, so it's for the Latin audience, Sofia Castro. Not only are we close as friends in real life, but also an extremely successful entrepreneur, mom, wife, probably 10 other things that I'm not thinking of right now. But one of the highlights of her life and career, which we'll get into, you and your husband built a company, sold it for $1.2 billion. Is that right?
$1 billion.
$1 billion. That's a B, okay? That's billion with a B, not an M, okay? So a lot of stuff to talk about there.
Yes.
You built that company for 18 years or so?
20-something years, actually.
20-something years.
I'm not sure if it was 23 or 25 years old. 23 or 25 years it took us to sell that company.
Amazing. Amazing.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
We weren't thinking about that, but yes.
We're going to get into all those details. Also a native of Miami. We won't hold it against her.
Hialeah.
She's from Hialeah. I'm from Westchester, but whatever.
Proud of it.
She still owns the nicest house in Miami Lakes. She still got it. So anyway, we're going to get into all those things. She's doing a lot of cool things for empowering women and entrepreneurship for women, specifically Latin American women, right? Because you're doing content like myself in English and Spanish.
Spanglish.
Yeah. Part of this podcast is going to be in Spanglish. Heads up for that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So I appreciate you being here and taking the time.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so honored to be able to give a little bit of my golden nuggets, what we've been able to accomplish in our lifetime, and share it with your audience.
That's what I love. I appreciate that. So let's obviously start at the beginning. You and Bobby, both from Hialeah, right? That's where you guys met?
Yes, that's where we met, yes.
Okay. So you guys meet when? In high school?
No, actually, I met Bobby when I was 18 and he was 22. We both grew up in Hialeah. Bobby was actually born in New York City.
Okay.
In the, Bronx. But he was raised in Hialeah.
Okay.
So they came down and they were raised. So Bobby and I went to the same schools, funny enough, but he's 4 years older than me. So we always skipped being in the same school. Right. And obviously some friends we had, funny enough, I was saying this story yesterday to Pace, was that one of my cousins was extremely good friends with Bobby. No. And I never even knew Bobby.
No kidding.
Yeah, so.
6 degrees of separation.
Yes, exactly. It's so funny. But I met him when I was 18 years old, actually dropping off a friend of mine at a telemarketing office that they both worked at, selling timeshares, reselling timeshares, because it was people that wanted to sell their timeshares to others. So it was a Canadian company, and Bobby's always loved sales. Yeah. So I went to go drop off a friend of mine, and he was there, and they were going to introduce me to him prior to that, but it just never happened. And dropping her off, I'm like, he was walking in at the same time, and I'm like, hey, who is that? So another friend that was in the car, she's like, that is Eric's brother. And another friend of mine was dating Bobby's brother.
Got it.
But I never met them. And I'm like, wow, well, you should have told me he was that good looking. So she was like, well, I tried telling you and you don't want to listen. So that day, Bobby and I met, and we really couldn't, he was having to be inside work. So it was like, hi, bye kind of thing, and left. And then we didn't get to meet again until like 3 or 4 days later that he contacted a friend of mine, the one that wanted to introduce me prior, and said, hey, can you ask Sophie if I could get her number?
Very cool.
And so we hooked up, went out on a date, and everybody had warned me about Bobby, by the way. They had told me, stay away from him kind of thing, Okay. He was a flirt. He liked having, be with 1,000 women, and also
Bobby was a player. Look at that. Look at that.
Player. Good for him. And then also, he was always into dealing with sales and
Very intense.
kind of like scamming a little bit, not bad way, just trying to get his way through at 18 years old and like, hey, I want to sell this, or I want to do, just not doing the right thing, not being mindful of what you're doing at that age, right? So everybody would warn me, be careful with him. He doesn't have a real job. He's always in sales. He's always in and out, da-da-da. And, but whatever, Bobby and I met and we kind of hit it off right away. It was like one of those things that when you could connect. But he wanted to immediately hook up, like get married, get the first date that he dropped me off when I decided to go out on a date with him. He dropped me off, that it wasn't even his car. He tells me, you're going to be my wife and the mother of my children. And I looked and I said, this guy is crazy.
That's pretty forward.
I slammed the door and I'm like, hey, peace out.
Little did you know that he'd be right.
I'm like, this is not going to happen. And we broke up and I'm the one that went after him this time.
Look at you go. All right.
I just noticed that, that month that I broke up with him, it was like, what am I doing? I have a guy that really wants to be with me. At that time, I didn't know what entrepreneur was or even having this positive mindset. And Bobby off the bat was like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm not going to work from 9 to 5. I'm not going to work for nobody. This is what I want. And I'm sitting there not knowing what he was talking about. I'm like, my parents told me I have to go work for corporate. I need to go look for a government job because I need stability. I need insurance. I need 401ks, all of this. And Bobby's telling me complete opposite. And I'm like, huh?
Well, and at a time too where it's not like today with social media where it's all in your face. Like,
exactly.
Back then that must have been really far-fetched.
I didn't even know what he was talking about. I was like, how are you going to do this with no money, no this? We both had dropped out of high school not knowing each other. Wow. He dropped out in 9th. I dropped out in 10th. So I had no clue what that was. I was just needing to go work because I wanted, I always loved fashion and my parents couldn't afford it because there were 7 siblings.
Wow.
So it was like, okay, I need to go work. And all my brothers had 2 jobs. And so for me, it was normal. Let me just go work and pay for my stuff, Right. So when he was telling me this, I was like, wait a minute, let me just think about this. And when I broke up, we broke up, it was like, what am I doing? This guy, seems to have a good head on his shoulder, even though everybody was telling me he didn't. He really wants to be serious. Let me see. So a month later, I went and chased him.
Good for you.
So after that, we, went back and we've struggled. We've been together for 33 years now and together 34. So not easy, but, we've always learned to figure it out. And instead of taking the easy route out, we've taken the, hard route of of making this thing work. And we still love each other, which is the most important part of it.
Right.
So then, so in April, we got engaged, just, a casual engagement type of thing. In May, we go to our first vacation that I tell my father, I'm going to do this whether you like it or not, because I'm 19 years old, I'm engaged, I'm a big girl, so I'm going to do this. I did. And he got super mad at me, didn't speak to my mom. It was a big old deal. So I go to the Keys with Bobby. We rented this, what is this, RVs that you drive with like 20 people because we couldn't afford it. Imagine we were 19 and 23. We didn't have a job. We had a job, but we're making freaking like $5 an hour back then or something. Minimum dollars. Bobby didn't even have a car. We couldn't afford it. So we're all sleeping in this camper in front of the tiki bar. We parked it on the street. We couldn't even park it because we didn't even have money to park it in one of those
Oh my God.
So we parked it there, and that weekend, we got, 19 years old. What do? Get trashed, get party, And we got pregnant that weekend.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
This is with Priscilla.
With Priscilla.
No way.
Oh, yes. This is Priscilla.
See that, kids? You got to be careful out there.
Got to be careful.
You could just be running around. Next thing you know, you're married and you're pregnant.
Yes, exactly. So that happened, and that was a big ordeal. My parents don't have money. Bobby's parents don't have a nanny. We don't have money. We are still living with our parents. What do we do now? So it was a hard decision. I didn't want to have it. Bobby did. He was very adamant about having it. I almost had an abortion.
Wow.
And I backed out at the abortion center. Thank God I did, because now I have my precious little baby girl. And if it wasn't for her, I don't know that Bobby and I would be where we're at today, business-wise or relationship-wise.
Wow.
Because that decision automatically kicked in this urgency of now we're not talking about you and I, that we could just live in our parents' house and who cares if we don't have money. Now we're talking about that we're bringing in another life into this world because we chose to.
So you got to figure shit out now.
You got to figure things out. Yeah. And our parents just couldn't afford to help us. I mean, of course, they would give us the roof over our heads, but monetize-wise, they couldn't pay the diapers, the food, the this, the that. They just couldn't. So we automatically said, okay, what are we going to do now? This is where the entrepreneurship kicked in really quick, and that PMA had to kick in. And so we just started doing all types of businesses. We started thinking of any kind of sales business. When I tell you, we even went to the point of we were buying baby clothes at wholesale and going to businesses door to door and selling baby clothes. Yes. It was that bad. We were like, whatever we could do to sell, because we just both didn't want to go to work for somebody.
But important, sorry to cut you off, but like important to note, you guys didn't stop. You guys kept going. You guys just kept figuring stuff out. And we would take those failures, and instead of drowning in this cup of water, what we did was we kept on swimming. We're like, okay, nope, we're not going to drown. We're going to keep on going. Let's try the next thing. Mm-hmm. And what did we learn from this business? And what did we learn from that one? And then it got to a point that I said, okay, I'm tapping out. Because Bobby kept on going to classifieds, and we just kept on trying things. And number one, we didn't have the knowledge, really, that foundation of knowledge that you need. We didn't have financial resources, and we didn't have resources. And none of us had graduated from high school, college. So we were really just throwing it out there like, street style. Right.
And I tapped out and I said, Bobby, I have to do something. I just can't continue with this. And not living in my mom's house, Bobby didn't have a car. We don't have enough money we had to get him food stamps. It was that bad because I had to get Priscilla's milk and diapers somehow.
No kidding.
So we were on welfare. We were getting WIC. I mean, we were getting it all because I was like, what do we do? We're trying to be entrepreneurs here, but this is not working. So I tapped out and I went into a technical program to do ultrasound that took like 12 months. But meanwhile, I was working and going to school and having a baby and everything else. But luckily, my parents were very supportive, and Bobby's parents were very supportive, and we had a roof over our heads, which was the important part.
Right.
And food. So I did that, and meanwhile, Bobby was still doing a lot of sales. I then started learning. I then learned the ultrasound. I went to work for a cardiologist, and Bobby was working for the Better Business Bureau, and the Rusty Pelican at night.
Yeah, he told me he was a server there.
Yeah. So he was working those two jobs. I was working at the cardiologist office. But meanwhile, we're still looking at classifieds, ads, thinking of what is it going to be the next business. We were like, this is not going to be
our lives.
Mm-hmm. So with that, we found the under classified ad on equipment leasing broker.
Okay.
We didn't know what that was. But Bobby was like, this sounds really interesting. I really want to look into this because he loves finance and he loves sales. With that, when Bobby goes to work one day, they would give him leads on the Better Business Bureau. And one of the leads was the same business that we had gotten the classified on. Wow. So he was like, this is it. So he made the appointment. It took him like 4 or 5 days to get into the guy to see him for the Better Business Bureau. The guy was like, I hate the Better Business Bureau. This is all bull crap. I don't want this, And he kept on persistent, and he got in there. Okay. When he got in there, the guy told Bobby, I just love your persistence. I love the way that you are. You need to come and work for me. Let go of the Better Business Bureau. Come work for me, and I'll teach you this whole business. But you have to buy the manual, which was the money that my parents lend us, with my mom, $1,700, and to buy this manual, right? Okay. You come work for me, but I still want you to buy the manual because I want you to be serious about this.
Skin in the game.
Yeah. So the manual was literally a binder that you would buy at office supplies or whatever, with the little clips inside, and copy paper from the copy machine that he made holes, and he put them in the binder, and here you go. That was the $1,700, right? So we're looking when he gets home, and I'm like, my mom gave us that money, lent us that money that she didn't even have, and this is what you have? Really?
Wow. People were selling courses even back then.
I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous, Bobby. But what made me feel safe was he was working with the guy. So he really took Bobby under his wing. And so that came around, and I was still working. I couldn't let go of my job, and Bobby couldn't let go of the Rusty Pelican. So that went on for like almost a year. When that started, producing some kind of cash, we were getting super excited. We're like, oh my God, we're able to rent an apartment now, because we were living with my mom. So we rented an apartment, and Bobby then worked out of home during the day with Priscilla. I was working at the cardiologist's office, and when I would get home, back then, it was a typewriter and a fax machine. I would work on all of Bobby's contracts or any kind of solicitations that he wanted to do, all of that. I would type up all the stuff, fax it over. So I worked all day and all night, right? And had Priscilla. So my mom was a lot of help with Priscilla too. But so I did that probably like for 18 months. And then I was able to quit my job and be full-time helping Bobby. And then Bobby and I worked it, and then Bobby quit the Rusty Pelican. Mm-hmm. So that was a really funny story on Rusty Pelican him quitting Rusty Pelican. And with all this, hold on a minute, I would go at night. I would have to pick him up because he didn't have a car.
In Key Biscayne.
And we lived in Hialeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
it's an easy
back
commute.
Then, wait a minute, the apartment was in Miami Lakes.
That's
Miami Lakes. I was a
Miami
step up.
Lakes.
I lived in Miami Lakes in the apartment.
You get excited. You start going to the country club.
We were excited. We went from Hialeah to Miami Lakes, and we were excited. Yeah, we could walk there.
Things are looking up here. The story continues.
So then all of that happened. We really took this serious. At this point, we were like, we are going to implement all the mistakes that we did from all these businesses that we learned, and take it so that we wouldn't do it in this business. So this is why I always say that those mistakes for us was a master degree. Mm-hmm. We just wrote down what not to do. Yeah. And Bobby says this a lot, is your best mentors are the ones you don't want to be. So we did the same thing with the concept of taking those mistakes and saying, nope, we did this, we're not doing this here. We're going to completely do it opposite. And we were able to create that business. And, we had never taken a vacation, and we took a vacation a year and a half later or something like that. And we had asked Bobby's brother to step in because we had so much business. We couldn't just walk away and not attend to the business. And we were ready to scale a little bit, but we were afraid to hire people because we were being selfish at that time. We're like, money's ours. Money's ours.
It's natural. You haven't seen it forever.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh my God, we got it.
We were ordering it. Instead of saying, we hire more people, we're able to scale. But back then, that wasn't our mentality. Sure. Our mentality was, nope, this is ours. This is ours. So Bobby's brother stepped in, and when we got back, he's like, what? This is a business, guys. This is real. This is real. This is like, what? He goes, I need part of this. And we were like, well, we were thinking about scaling. If you come in, you and Barbie, him and his wife, we'll be able to really scale, because now we'll have us four hitting this business at 100%. And work ethics on us four are the same. Let's get this done. And we went into a partnership there that time at 50%, both couples. And from that point on, see you never.
So all right. So this is a medical field, right?
So back then it wasn't. Back then it was equipment leasing, meaning dumpsters, bulldozers,
so any
anything,
kind of equipment.
X-rays for doctors.
Okay.
And then what happened was, like a few years into it, the whole finance started changing on how banks were lending to businesses, and they were doing it themselves, because before they used to outsource it because they didn't want the sales and they didn't want to have to go looking for the business.
Sure.
But then they found a way of how they were going to lease these equipments to these vendors. And we started seeing Bobby being the salesperson that he is and the visionary that he is, he started asking the customers, what is it if you don't need the equipment financing anymore, or you don't need, this type of financing, what do you need? And the doctors were the ones saying, well, you know what, we need working capital, because what happens is that the insurance companies take sometimes 60 to 90 days to pay up on an invoice. And when they pay you a percentage, because then they start saying, oh no, this service only costs us this much, so you charged 100, we're gonna give you 50,
Sure.
So they were lacking working capital to be able to pay their employees or pay for things that they needed for the business. So Bobby put a light bulb in his mind, and he's like, wait a minute, doctors, working capital.
They need money.
That's a niche. Nobody's doing it. We had a direct person that we were dealing with, only the medical deals were being sent to them. We had the opportunity to meet that person in a networking event that we got invited to directly. And Bobby, already before, he was like, we're going to this networking event. We're going to meet this person. We're going to sit down. We're going to focus on don't talk to nobody else. We're going to talk to this person. We're going to go to dinner. We're going to don't do nothing, but we're meeting this person.
So he had a plan.
He had a plan before we got there.
You hear that?
And that
he
was
had a plan.
a plan.
And he executed on the plan.
100%.
Yeah.
And we went there, and it was at Martha's Vineyard. And we met this person, which later on, his name is Albert Crawford. We ended up being third partners with. He became
the third guy.
Yeah, that's the third person in our business. That once we went with him, now the company just created a different level of a company. Now we're talking about
real scale.
We were enterprise. We were a big scale, because it was just, he brought in a different avenue to our business, that we were able to now become lenders. Now we were private, we had equity firm, we were lending our own money. He had the ability, he had the chains, he had the lines, he had the resources to implement. We had the sales techniques, we had the operations. So we had it all. With us three together, it was just explosion. So and that was in 2001.
Right, so you guys had the ops at that time. You guys had figured out the niche, really. The sales obviously sounds like Bobby was charging the way.
And his brother was operation.
Yeah, Eric is a very ops-driven guy, very analytical
100%.
From the times I've met him.
Yeah, so it was just a dynamic trio that was just like poof.
And then in comes the other guy, Albert, right?
That was, and all three.
That guy just put a lot of capital and seriousness behind it.
It wasn't even the capital. It was just bringing in the resources.
Okay.
It wasn't the capital. We all put in capital. It was just a resource. We started, when we met with him, we only had about $25K to put in to the company, because again, what were we doing? We were hoarding our own money, instead of having that open mindset that I tell this to a lot of people. They're like, I can't start a business because I only make this much money. Well, guess what? Stop paying yourself. Get that money, only get what you need in order to live, which is your rent or your mortgage, your food, your car. That's it. That's all you need for right now. And then give up the rest to your business so that you could scale. You can't scale or open a business with $0.
And I think this is a really good point, especially in my generation and the generation after me, which, oh boy, are we in trouble. But that's neither here nor there.
It's a different one, yep.
Yeah, but we got problems. We might be going back to Miami Lakes. Yeah. But anyway, but I think, people they want to live the lifestyle that they see, and they want to portray those lifestyles, but they're not willing to sacrifice for a period of years, literally not, como se dice en español, comiéndose un cable. And not understanding that, hey, every time you buy this nice new stupid thing, whatever it is, the flashy watch, the car, whatever, if you're not really there in that position yet, it's really going to screw with your growth and your scale. And that's a really good point that you bring up, because people are like, oh, I would do this, or I would do this, but only if. And I'm like, listen, there is no only if. Like when I started my company, I had no money. I got fired from Merrill Lynch. I got shot out of a cannon. So for me, I didn't have a choice. And I told my mom, I was like, I'm never working for anybody else ever again. She was like, bueno, figure it out, move your ass, because you're not going to stay here forever. So yeah.
Aquí no te vas a quedar durmiendo.
No, aquí no vas a vivir de gratis. So, and that's the whole thing. Like, you're Cuban American as well. I'm first generation Cuban American. I tell my mom all the time, I was like, look, you did not come here and bust your ass and run away from communism for me to be a loser, you know, just period. 100%. Or for me to work in a cubicle somewhere.
100%.
Like the next generation, in my opinion, is supposed to be it's supposed to be more successful than the previous generation.
Yes, take advantage of something that you were given and how not taking full advantage of it. But a lot of people, you know, they make a few dollars and they want to just buy things that makes no sense. That's just almost like the American dream. I need to buy a house. You know how many people I know that it drives me nuts that they stack away $10,000-$20,000 and the first thing they want to do is go buy a home? I'm like, what are you doing buying a home? How is that home gonna give you any kind of investment proposition to you where you're not getting cash flow whatsoever?
Never.
The evaluation of your home is whatever. You're not gonna really get what. Instead of putting that into an investment property, if you want to live in it, get a fourplex, a duplex, whatever, where they're paying your rent, you're receiving income instead of buying this house that you're taking money out of your pocket on a weekly, monthly basis, and it's going into a garbage can. And people, they tell me, oh, but I'm paying rent. You're paying rent with a mortgage. You don't own your home. 100%. You're paying it to the bank.
And if you ever look at an amortization table of when you buy and that 30-year mortgage, you might buy a $500,000 property, but it's going to end up costing you like $1.4 million when all is said and done.
Exactly. And I love this story. Oh, but I bought it for $500 and 10 years later I sold it for $1 million. Okay? And did you do the calculations of your taxes, your insurance, and your maintenance of what you paid for those 10 years?
Your opportunity cost of that money, everything.
Yeah. Everything. What you lost for not investing it, and people don't understand it. It drives me 100%. Nuts.
I think that is such a bad myth that's been sold. The American dream. It's right there for me with like 401ks and shit.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's a fallacy. It's a carrot, you know, dangling on a stick, and you're just on the little treadmill. Yeah, because you're never gonna. If you think you're retiring on $300,000 40 years from now,
no.
You're
and what happens
mistaken.
When the market goes down? No. Like the same thing that happened to the people in 2008-9 that they went to go retire and they didn't even have money. Safe. And even now in COVID, right before COVID or whatever, that everything was down on the gutter.
I always
you see 80-year-olds working at Publix, working at little. It's so sad because they thought they were going to live in their 401ks and on their Social Security money
and on their house.
It's so sad. And based that they have a home, it's so sad.
But that home still costs you property taxes. It costs you property insurance, which in South Florida is ridiculous. Maintenance. If a roof goes down, I mean anything, you know. So, but I think this is a really good point. I mean, I know you've made a career, an entire lifestyle out of this, but educating yourself and investing in your own self-education, like what we're doing right now. I'm a college graduate. I went to college. I did the whole, you know, song and dance and went to Wall Street and, you know, the prim and proper internship and all that. And then I got fired. And then I went into the entrepreneur route. So I get both sides of the equation, but
yeah,
I mean, can tell you that they're lying to you guys.
It's like the problem is that, you know what, I'm not against anybody that wants to go get a university degree because they feel like that's great. If that's who you are, then you need to do it. But you don't need it in order to be successful because it's all about mindset. So, you know, but educate yourself, man. We have a saying that we always, you know, we trademarked it, stack and rack. But when you stack your money to rack it into investments of whatever kind, but when you don't have the money to stack in knowledge. Knowledge is the most important thing that you have before even stacking cash. Yeah. Because you could have all the stack that you want of money, and if you don't have the knowledge and you invest that, you could lose it all.
Oh, you got a problem.
You could do the wrong thing, and all of that time that you spend stacking that money, you lose it in one day because you didn't educate yourself on what you were doing, and you just thought, oh, I have the money, let me just put it here. Oh, let me buy a house. Oh, let me invest with so-and-so. And you don't even know what you're investing in.
Yep. And you don't know what you don't know. And that's the worst.
The worst. Yeah. And we did this. I'm not going to say, listen, we were one of those. Back in the day, we were one of those. In 2004 to 2008, we almost lost all of our fortune because we didn't get knowledge on real estate.
Let's talk about that, because I know a little bit about the story. But okay, so you guys, just let's backtrack here for a second. So from 01 to 04, you had 4 years, 3 years of good growth.
And at this point, Bobby and I are stacking. All of our money we're making with BHG, we're stacking, because since day one that Bobby and I met, we always talked about real estate. We just didn't have the money.
Sure.
We thought that only, if you could only do it with money. We didn't know about all this, no money down or buying, owner financing. We didn't know nothing.
Wholesaling or anything.
Knowledge, right? We didn't know. So we were stacking. In 2004, we had the opportunity. Back then, it was condo conversion. So we were brought.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
In South Florida.
So we had the perfect storm. We had the cash. We had the connection with all the banks that we had from BHG.
Yeah.
And we had gotten an opportunity from a big team that was doing condo conversion all over Florida. So we're like, what a perfect opportunity.
Right.
We have everything we need. Let's follow the leader. Mm-hmm. But we followed the leader without really getting knowledge on what condo conversion was. We just knew you buy a building, you individually sell these units that were apartment buildings. Now each unit gets sold. That's all we knew.
Right.
When we get involved in this, number one, we didn't know that you had to vacate everybody. Then you needed an attorney to individually title each unit, which took a year, each building.
How much money did you guys put into this?
So we had bought $81 million worth of real estate at 95% finance.
Wow.
Because again, we had the banks that we had a relationship with, so they knew us, so they gave us everything. And back then, mortgages were they would give you 120%.
Yeah.
So you would close and the
with
same time you would get a check, a line of credit, right away. Cool. Like, so you would go to 120.
Okay, so you're saying 81 million,
81 million
5% is what you're putting down.
Yeah, more
so
or
you're
less
putting
between
like
closing
3
costs
million
and everything.
Stuff. I mean, it's still a considerable amount of money.
Yeah, considering, but we had partners. Remember, so we were all Eric, Al, Bobby, ourselves, and
so you guys
that
all
team.
got in on the board.
Oh, we all went into it like a company, like a BHG Realty. Like, we created a real estate division of BHG.
So very, very, one thing I talk a lot about is shiny objects, right? And shiny object syndrome, which is a real thing for entrepreneurs.
100%.
I think we've all experienced it as an entrepreneur. This is a really good example, it sounds like, of a big ass shiny object. Yeah. Like a really big shiny object.
Understanding that knowledge is so important. So we follow the leader. We're all excited. We're like, real estate, because all we knew was that everybody that was in real estate was a millionaire. So for us, we're like, we want to do this.
Sure.
This is where we want to go. We didn't know what type of real estate we were really doing. We said condo conversion. We don't even know what that is, but hey, how can you lose in real estate, right?
What a jump.
You can't lose in real estate. Everybody told us real estate is a safe place to put your money. So we believed them, but we didn't do any research, right? So what happens in 2006? The world starts crashing. Yeah. We're still under getting all of these buildings titled individually.
Oh my God.
Okay. We get hurricanes. We got 2 or 3 hurricanes that year. And they went through where we had these buildings. Knowledge, again, here's another knowledge. We had allowed the team we were following to put the insurance on these buildings.
Oh no.
Wrong type of insurance.
Oh my God.
When this hurricane came, we had 2 buildings that got completely destroyed. When the insurance adjusters come, they're like, well, you didn't have flood. Oh, well, you didn't have this kind of wind. And well, you didn't have this. The building is condemned. Nobody can live there.
Oh my God.
We don't have the insurance money. We don't have any more money because we're leveraged to the hill. Mm-hmm. And the world's crashing.
What a trifecta.
Now what do we do?
Yeah. So what did you do? Right.
We panicked. We all panicked. We automatically almost, Bobby contacted bankruptcy attorneys. We didn't know what to do. But when we started talking to the attorneys like, well, guess what? You have BHG.
as a personal guarantor?
Personal guarantor.
Oh my God.
To all these buildings. And we were like,
oh no.
There's no way.
That's even worse.
We could allow BHG to go away. This is your baby.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? This is what's giving us.
And all the while, BHG is still doing very well.
Yeah.
Throughout this time.
BHG's thriving, but we're not focusing on BHG because we lost focus.
Yeah, you got to shine your penny.
Everybody, all of us, we were like, woo, this real estate. So we're letting BHG just run, not even focusing on it. It's just running. No focus on it, just letting it be. When the attorneys tell Bobby that, and Eric and Al, we all said, guys, this can't happen. We cannot lose everything we have worked so hard for. So guess what? Bobby and Eric went focused. Bobby and Al went full on focus on BHG. We need to scale this. This needs to pay for all of this that we're drowning right now, that's bleeding us out, because we can't let it go.
Sure.
So they went, and then Barbie, Eric, myself, we went to the real estate part. And we were like, okay, guys, we're going to get knowledge on this. We need to know what this is all about. We started learning what apartment building was, rentals. So we're like, we need to fill these apartment buildings back up, the ones that were not damaged, because there was 2 of them that we couldn't. We need to put tenants back in here. How do we do this? We don't know property management. We don't know nothing. We start putting people back in, and then we're like, hold on a minute, we got to collect rents. Oh my God, there's people complaining that the toilet's not working. Oh my God, there's this. Who works on this? Who's going to attend to this? What do we do?
Now you're in real estate.
Now we're in real estate. Yeah. Now we were like, whoa. So now I start learning property management alongside with Eric, and Barbie focuses on the real estate side of like getting agents to bring us tenants, learning about the values of these properties, how are we going to sell them. So Barbie starts focusing on that. We start focusing on management and tenants. It was, bottom line is that what we learned, that university degree there, was that knowledge is the most important thing before cash. And we, as entrepreneur, and having that mindset that we were not going to fail this time around, no matter what, because we had too much put on the line for us to let it fall. And we just put our PMA on. It was our PMA mindset every single day, PMA all day, every day. That
what
just
PMA stands for what? Positive
mental attitude.
There you go.
And we did that every single day, no matter what came in our table. We were like, nope, we're gonna get over this. We're gonna get over this. And we did. We sold all these units, all these buildings, not units. We sold them. And we lost money. We came to the table at closing. We would come with money to the closing. We were one of the only ones, condo converters in South Florida, that did not default with Ocean Bank.
Wow.
One of the only
Bet you they appreciate
ones.
that.
Oh yeah. So we were like, whatever it takes. We did a workout, all that stuff, but we were like, nope, we're not doing this. We're gonna keep our integrity, our everything that we stood for. We're like, no, we're gonna work this out. And
when shit hits the fan, you learn.
You just learn. A lot of people just drop it. That's it. I fought. No, we were like, this is not gonna happen, and we just went forward. We swam out.
That's badass.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but you remember we did a loan in the middle of COVID.
Yep.
You guys did 2 loans. It was a duplex and a single family.
Sure
and
did.
I remember, I'm only bringing this up because doing the right thing, it really does have a place, always, by the way.
Always.
But yeah, but when COVID hit, like I'm talking about March of 2020, Bobby and her did a private loan to us for like $175,000 or something. It wasn't anything crazy here in Miami. Shit hit the fan. The week that we decided to list this flip was the last week of March in 2020. If anyone recalls what happened there, something very important happened in that month. I can't recall what it was. And then we lost 4 buyers back to back because everybody was losing their jobs. Anyway, I remember being on a phone call with Bobby, and honestly, $175,000 is not a considerable amount of money, right, for you guys. Anyway, but it's the principle. And I remember talking to Bobby, and I was like, Bobby, I stayed up at night, and I told him, I said, dude, I can't get this shit out of my head. Like, it was really stressing me out, and it was the last deal we had together. And I said, Bobby, we are going to refi this property, and we're going to keep it as a rental. We're going to get you all your money back. You're going to bear with us because, appraisals and the whole COVID thing, we don't even know where the fuck the appraisal...
Yeah.
Oops, I dropped an F-bomb there. But we don't even know where this appraisal is going to come in or if it's even going to come in. Anyway, so we did that. And then we ended up paying the profit that you guys, which was like 10 grand. It wasn't anything crazy. But anyway, I remember sending the wire, and I was on the phone with Eddie and with Bobby. And I'll never forget what Bobby said. He goes, hey, listen, these are the times that people are always going to remember it. You guys have my cell phone. If you ever need anything, you got my number. Really appreciate you guys doing the right thing. And that stuck with me for my whole career because I never forgot that.
If one thing I could give anybody advice on is that always stand behind your word.
Yeah.
Always. It goes so far long in business. Mm-hmm. Even if you have to renegotiate, take a time, whatever it is, but when you say something, do it. Because in this business, it's all about your reputation and doing what you say. Mm-hmm. It is.
Well, I can tell you right now, it was extremely uncomfortable. It wasn't easy. No bank wanted to deal with us because of the COVID situation. This is like midsummer now of 2020. No one knows. All the LTVs are completely different. The values are completely different. We couldn't find a buyer to save our lives. We went through 4 of them that got defaulted because they couldn't get approved.
Yeah, you can't make it approved.
And this is a lower income area in Liberty City. So it wasn't like we were at a very high end area. So that area got hit hard, but I mean, naturally, it's not what I wanted to do. And I'm like, well, I didn't want to end up with a rental. I wanted to flip it and make 60 grand.
Yeah.
Now I got to refi. Now I got to pay the closing costs and the origination fees and all this stuff. I think the thing was cash flowing like $600 a month, which was a positive. But I just remember I was like, and we're going to pay the profit. And Eddie was like, I don't know if he's expecting the profit. I was like, it doesn't matter if he's expecting it. It's the right thing to do because that's what we said. And I don't want to show him in the middle of a crisis that we pissed our pants. That's kind of the whole point, right? Yeah. And I think that's something I've always appreciated from people from 07 and 08, the ones that made it through, like you guys. You just got to figure it out.
You have to.
And the banks were willing to work with you. I would assume.
All of them were. Yeah.
See,
as long as you were up front. Yeah, as long as you were up front and you brought it to the table, they were willing to work with you. It's the ones that just try to say, oh, forget that, or I'm not making money, so I'm not going to worry about them. I'm just going to drop. Then later on in life, where can you go? Who are you going to be able to go to and say, hey, I want a business line. Mm-hmm. I want you to come into business with me. I want you to partner with me. Everybody's going to say, no, peace out. I don't want to deal with somebody that can't live up to their word, or when a time with hard times come in that you collapse and that you just disappear. No. I
don't think there's any chance that we'd be sitting here doing a podcast if I wouldn't have paid my loan 3 years ago. I can tell you that right now. This probably wouldn't have gone the same way. Probably been like, you know what? I'm busy. Nice to see you though.
Yes, exactly.
No, but seriously, people, keep your word. I know it sounds so silly, but
especially in the wholesaling business. That is a world that you get a lot of people, unfortunately, not being honest and
the barrier to entry is so low for wholesaling, which is the majority of my audience. But the barrier to entry is so low to get into that business that. Unfortunately, it's a catch-22. It's great to get into, but if you have ethics and you're a dignified person, whatever. But at the same token, you're also getting all the riffraff because it is so easy to get into.
They want easy money, man. Nothing comes easy. If it was easy, everybody would be out there, right?
Yeah. So it's easy money comes and easy money goes
faster than it
way faster. And I've had my own personal experience when I first started making considerable money in my life. I bought a bunch of stupid shit. And that's why I tell it to people, because like students of mine now, I'm 32, they're like 21, so I look at them as like little brothers, right? And I look at them and I'm like, guys, you just had an 80K month.
Yeah.
Just do me a favor. Don't be an asshole with your money. Don't be stupid. Don't buy the Rolex.
Don't
buy
how to
the
stack
car.
and rack, man.
And sure as shit, the next month they're like, no, we got it. They bought the Rolex. They bought the car. And I'm like, God bless.
Yeah.
You really. But I think some of those lessons, you have to go through it on your own.
Yeah, you do.
And everybody goes through them.
Hopefully they learn from them, though. That's the problem.
Yeah,
that some of them just keep on doing the same mistake. My daughter always tells me when I'm because I used to tell her, stop tripping over the same rock.
Yeah.
You could trip over a different one, but don't trip over the same rock. You already did that mistake. You saw that it didn't work. Why are you continuously doing the same mistake? Learn from them. Yeah. Take those mistakes and make them be your bright future.
Yeah. My mom always tells, I mean, I'm sure you've told them too, pero, ¿cómo se dice? Oh man, I forgot the expression now. But I'll remember it in a second. But yeah, I mean, you know. Oh, cuando tú ibas, ya yo venía. Okay, la segunda vez. And she always tells me that. And I'm like, okay.
See, it's true.
And even in business, you know, when I started to do well in business, because she's in business with me and she flips with me too, which is awesome. But she's like, mijo, sabes que tienes que tener cuidado por acá y hacer esto. And I'm like, no, mom, I got it. I know this. I did 100 deals last year. And she's like, bueno.
Espérate que la experiencia viene con edad.
¿Cómo se dice? El diablo sabe por viejo, no por diablo.
Exactamente.
And that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
It sure is.
So you end up coming out of 07, 08, the crash, the financial depression, whatever you want to call it. So you guys figured it out. You became landlords. You wanted to be in real estate. Now you're in real estate. Not how you expected it to be.
Exactly.
But the moral of the story is they got it done. They figured it out. It didn't look pretty, but you got it done. And you did the right thing.
Yes, 100%.
So I'm sure number of lessons learned there.
100% what we learned from there. And from there, we were able to create, in 2011, Ortsac, which is Ortsac Capital today. You know, right now, everybody, you know, well, we have about $750 million worth of real estate.
Say that one more time. How much real estate? Hold on. What's the portfolio valued at?
$750 million. And if it wasn't for what's going on right now because of the rates and the cap rates change and all that stuff, it would have been more. But, you know, it's
only
kind of
$750 million?
Only.
What happened? Where's the other 250?
You know, we're getting there. You know, we're going to get there. We're nowhere near in like stopping, or we're still acquiring. No. So
one of the things I've always admired about you and Bobby is especially like having accomplished everything you guys have already accomplished. I mean, not a lot of people can walk around and say, hey, we built a business from the ground up with $1,700 pretty much.
Yep.
Scaled that all the way to north of $1 billion. As a sale, you actually had an exit, a very clean exit.
Yeah, very clean. No stock, no nothing.
Let's talk about that, because you did it in 3 parts, no?
We did it in 3 parts because we weren't looking to get out of the business. It was just that, you know, one of the banks that we were doing business with, that was one of our lending partners, knocked on the door.
Was it Pinnacle?
Yes, Pinnacle Bank.
See, I did my homework.
They came knocking and said, hey, we would like to be a part of this. How can we be a part of it? And we had no clue about selling. We didn't even think of that we could sell business. That again,
so that wasn't even like a not knowing what you don't know, right?
No, again,
so you guys didn't even have that.
We didn't even know what
your mind.
EBITDA was back then.
No way.
I swear, it was like we didn't have. Bobby knew a little bit more about it, but really wasn't. He didn't get knowledge on it. None of us did. We were just like, we're never going to sell this business. For me, BHG was going to be in my life for the rest of my life until the day I was no longer here.
Right.
So when that happened, we said, of course we want. It was only 19%. I think it was the first bite of the apple. And then when that happened, Bobby was like, wait, why did they want to buy 19% at this much money?
What was the valuation
going on
at that time?
I believe the evaluation back then was 250.
So the whole business was valued at 250?
That's what they had evaluated at, but it really wasn't.
Right.
It was way more.
Way more.
But we didn't know EBITDA, so we didn't know what and also we were focused, like Bobby likes to say, we were focused on our business, not on what the market was asking for. So we, like, again, no knowledge. We sell, and Bobby, like Bobby is, he started really understanding selling a business. What was EBITDA? What am I doing here? Why? So then he was like, you know what? He talked to our business partners, and he's like, we need to sell another percentage and sell 49% total, and we manage it at 51% ownership. But this time around, we're gonna evaluate it and we're gonna. Then at that point, it was at 600,000
million.
I mean 600 million. Sorry. And Pinnacle had first right of refusal, and Bobby told them, "This is what's going to happen." They're like, "Oh no, you're crazy! How are we going to buy it at 250 million, and now you're going to tell me 600 million? No, you're crazy." And Bobby goes, "I understand. That's great. We're going to put it on the market. So if you want it, you have first right. If not, we understand." And of course, they came back and they're like, "We're taking it
at 600."
At 600.
And how much percent did you sell the second time?
At that point, it was 49% Pinnacle, 51% us. So we still managed the bill, the whole entire company.
So that sale would have been almost like 300 mil is what they bought, like two something, high twos for the 49%.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Yeah, I have to do numbers here. Yes, I don't remember. It was too long ago.
It was a lot. It was a lot. Okay, it was a lot of zeros.
And then that was, I don't know, like 3 years later. Bobby always in this business always had an imagination that whenever we reached $1 billion evaluation, that he was going to be ready to tap out, right? That's something where and Bobby's a very focused and goal oriented. When Bobby writes down a goal, Bobby is going to get that goal. No matter what comes in his way, he's going to jump obstacles, fall in a hole, climb out of it. It does not matter. One thing Bobby has, he has horse blinders. And when he has that goal, he's reaching it. But I never thought that was going to happen. I'm here still. So
all the while, he's telling, I mean, you guys obviously have to be communicating about this, you and him.
I was like,
But you were more like, all right,
yeah. Now I was so happy now. We have now real money. We're investing it into real estate. So now we're not only having this real money and we're putting it into real estate that's bringing us cash flow. BHG is bringing us cash flow. We have our stack. We're like kind of like, okay, we're good.
So
we're solid.
For the people listening right now, I sold a piece of my company. It was like that big in comparison. But what are you feeling at that time? Like when that happens? Because that's a lot of changes.
I cried. I screamed. I had so many emotions. And Bobby's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Oh my God, we did this. I can't believe that we did this. Oh my God." I'm screaming. I'm like, I'm telling him. But then at the same time, I'm like, "But wait, that's my baby. We're letting go of some," it was so many emotions, but I was just so proud of us. Like we accomplished something that not many people get to accomplish in this lifetime.
No.
From no high school degree, no college, no university, no nothing, self-taught entrepreneurs with $0, and that we were able to do that. So it was like the first bite of the apple, I was hysterical. I was like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe this. We are actual millionaires. Like we are millionaires." I was like, "No way." It was just so many emotions, It was great. When we sold that Bobby, that was the first bite.
This is when you moved out of Miami Lakes, or no?
No. That was way before. No, we already lived. We already lived in.
No, you guys lived in Seven Isles.
Already 7 Isles. Yeah, we did. We already lived in Fort Lauderdale. Yes, yeah.
I remember.
And we sell the 49%. We're doing great. We're in good shape. We're like, let's go. I already have the real estate company, Bobby and I, Ortsac, which is with no partners.
Yeah.
Strictly Priscilla, Brandon, Bobby and I, which is the family, and no investors. So we're good. We have the management company. We have, our apartment buildings already. We're keep on buying. And
how many units? Because this is all multifamily, by the way.
This is all multifamily.
Okay. So how many units more or less at the time?
At this point, wait, for the first bite, or you mean when we sold for $1 billion?
No. When you have Ortsac and you sold for the first bite.
So the first bite, we didn't have apartment buildings yet. Okay. We started. That's how we started.
Got it.
Investing.
So you stacked and racked in there.
We stacked and we racked. By the time that we sold the 49%, we were already like at 300 units.
Okay.
So we were good. We didn't need anything else. We were flowing great. We had the real estate. We had BHG. Life was amazing. It was great. All of a sudden, a few years later, Bobby comes to me and he goes, "Well, The company, we just wanted an evaluation on the company just to see where we're at. And the company came in at one point, I believe it was $1.7 million billion, 1.7 billion the evaluation. So I said, oh, wow, I was so excited. That's awesome.
It just keeps going.
I just thought, it keeps on going. A few days later, he keeps on like, this is a good time maybe to sell. And I'm like, no, are you crazy? No, why? We're sitting good. We could go on vacation whenever we want. You could come into the office, and we weren't working on Fridays because we would leave to the kids. You're doing great. The company's an oil machine. And he kept on brewing this in his mind, and I kept on seeing him, and I'm like,
He wants this.
Something's gonna happen here. And like always, comes to me and he goes, I think I'm ready. And I'm like, what? So we sat down and I said, you know what, Bobby, I really don't want to, but I get it. If you don't want to and what you want, we're going to do this, because at one point, if you're not happy and you're not fulfilled, or you want something else and
Sure.
you're sitting there, you're not living your full potential life. And at that point, financially wise, we were solid.
Yeah.
And all we were doing was growing with the real estate company more than ever. Bobby absolutely loves real estate.
Yeah.
Like when you want to see Bobby glow, shine, is when he's in his real estate and, working a deal. Mm-hmm. When he gets a deal and he has to do the underwriting and he has to work on the asset management, he glows. He loves it. He wakes up at 5 a.m. The first thing he does is look up, something of whatever deal we're working on, or if or something's happening in the real estate market, he wants to know anything about it, and he absorbs it.
Yeah.
So I said, I understand. He goes, I really want to get into real estate. Like, I really want our office just to be a family office, and our main investment to be focused on multifamily. So I said, whatever. Guess if it is, let's do it. So
you're a very supporting wife for being that way too.
I am. I
give you credit.
Yes, 100%. One thing I do, Bobby and I, we're solid when it comes down that we're going to make a decision. When I tell you he's a researcher, he's a researcher. When I know that he is solid on something, I support him, because at that point we're both together. I know that we're going to get through anything at this point. So we're like, you know what? I love real estate myself. I was no longer really in the day-to-day work-wise on BHG. I was 100% into ORTSEC at this point. So I'm in the real estate all the time. I'm already and completely emerged into ORTSEC. So I was like, okay, all we're going to do is now be together and blow this thing up.
Right. We did it once, we could do it again.
Right. So I was like, perfect. And then when we were going to sell it for $1 billion evaluation, I'm like, yeah, all that money over here. Yeah, you know what? That sounds great. When that came about and it really came to tuition, I didn't know if I was happy, sad. It was so many emotions, because like I said, we're letting go of a baby that now Bobby and I created. We created alone, not with nobody else. We started at Bobby and I, and then it went on to Bobby's brother, then it went on and brought in employees, and then the third partner and brought in more employees. So we brought that baby to life. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of an emotional roller coaster for me. And when we did, I was then happy after we did it, and then Bobby went through the emotional roller coaster. He was missing oxygen, because he was no longer he didn't have a whole entire village under him that he used to look over, mentor.
How many employees did BHG have?
Oh my God, when
time?
we exited, it was about 800 employees.
800.
Today, they're close to probably 1,800, something like that, maybe even more.
So this is a really big organization.
Oh yeah,
and it's still around. It's BHG out of Davie, right?
Still a huge company. It's way bigger now, obviously. Yeah.
And Eric stayed on.
Brother. He couldn't let go. He couldn't detach.
He didn't want to. Huh?
No, he didn't want to. It's just such a great business. It's really a great business. The culture in BHG that we created is amazing. So, why let go of it? And Eric's in real estate with us as well. But he's more passive, on the real estate side, and he's very involved with BHG. So, yeah, it was a very exciting time for our lives because, we were able to accomplish an empire that we had never dreamt of. We didn't dream that. We never saw that big. We always thought we're going to work it and always improve it, always in scale. But to reach that level and then being able to compound it into real estate without zero investors, that was really a dream.
That's incredible.
Yep.
So all in all, you guys yourself walked away with what, like 300 or something like that? Out of all the sale?
It was a little bit more.
Like 350 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
We'll round up for the sake of it. So 350 mil cash, no stock.
No stock.
No staying in the company.
Nothing. Nope.
You
nothing.
Just said, give me my money and
peace out, 100%.
I'm out of here.
Clean.
Done.
Clean.
I never want to do, if I don't want to, I don't have to do anything else.
Exactly.
Yep. But then you guys went in and racked all that into real estate.
Completely.
And you did not slow down at all.
Nope. We
at all.
just
Since I've known you.
From then, we sold all that portfolio that we had of 330. No, it was a little bit more by that time. I think we were already in the 500s. We sold all the old vintages. We sold all the garden apartments, and then we went into only buying 100 plus apartment buildings, Class B, no C's. And then from there, we even then sold that portfolio now, and now we're only A's. We have like 2, I think, that are B plus, and now we only buy 300 and above.
Right, and you're even doing new construction too.
Now we have 3 ground ups.
Right.
We started with one which just opened recently.
This is the one here in South Florida?
Davie. Yep. We have in Orlando and the city of Oviedo. And then we have Tennessee, which this is another new venture for us. We never had done ground up.
Right.
So very exciting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, and then you said real estate now the portfolio is worth like 750. The real estate.
Yeah.
Alone.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Alone. Yeah. What's your monthly cash flow? I'm just curious.
It's about 500,000
net. Every month. To yourself. No partners.
No partners.
So this is 500,000 a month.
Yes.
So 6 mil a year, just off of that.
Just off of real
Plus
estate.
all the depreciation, all the tax benefits.
All of that. No taxes. Yeah.
No taxes. Unbelievable. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's amazing.
And what's more incredible, and I got to tell you, like on air, since I've known you guys, which has been, I don't know, like 4 years now or something, but you guys have always from day one been the most humble, nice. Like if you guys were, especially Bobby, because he's so like to himself, so to speak.
He's way more humble than me.
Yeah. You have your ways of letting
but
loose.
You know what though? At this point in my life, I'm able to.
You earned it.
I'm able to.
100%. 100%. You strut that Ferrari and keep it going for sure. But it's incredible to me, like how nice, how approachable, and how humble, and not even that, but more importantly, how much you guys are putting out into the world. I just want to recognize that for sure, because you guys actually give a shit and you care a lot, almost to a fault, where it's like you want to provide so much value, and you're doing all these speaking events, and you guys are both on social media.
By the way, we don't get paid for the speaking events because we don't want to, because we love to give back.
That's amazing.
And that's the way that we like to give back, is by...
Because I was waiting for the invoice at the end of this podcast. And I was scared.
Well, you're going to get one though.
I was scared for it. I got to take her to Versailles or something after this. No, but seriously, it always strikes me every time I run into you guys. I mean, it's like with you, it's like running into a second mom, and with Bobby, he's such a warm, loving person. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'll be on Las Olas, like getting coffee at Ann's, and I'll run into him with a buddy of mine or something, and he's like, "Oh, you guys want to talk for a little bit?" And then he just sits down, 20 minutes. Shoots the shit about the T-bill and the 10-year treasury, and
he loves that 10-year treasury.
I know where to get Bobby. I'm like, Bob, where do you think the 10 years going today? He's like, oh man, let me tell you, you've been following it. You've been watching this one. He's like, you gotta pay attention to the candles.
Yeah.
He's
that
on
10
it,
year.
man. He's on it. He's on it.
He is.
How do you guys? This is a big question, but obviously building business, multiple businesses at this point, successfully, a family, marriage, kids. I mean, the whole nine. You guys have done it all at the same time, which is saying a lot.
Yes.
And you guys are still together. Every time I see you guys,
happily together.
Yeah, happily together. You guys aren't like miserable together or by force. Like you can tell you guys are very happy to be together. What would you say is like the number one thing like to balancing that? How have you guys been able to do that?
You know what? I have 3 pillars for this, and I created these my own. And because if not, we were gonna not make it through in life. Okay. And one of the things that I learned very early on a relationship is communication. Communicating is so important, and sometimes it's very hard to communicate, and especially with a person like Bobby. Bobby's a very alpha. But then you got me, and I'm extremely alpha for a woman.
Yes.
So you have 2 alpha in a relationship, and we both want to do it our way. So you have to communicate.
There's a lot of compromise going on there.
So then you could communicate all you want, but if that communication doesn't turn into compromising, that communication goes nowhere, and the struggle's real. So learning communication to then compromise, and then you have to keep the relationship sizzling, exciting, romantic. So imagine working together, living together, doing everything together, struggles, everything, if you don't compromise. But then forget, even if you compromise, if you don't keep the relationship live, sizzling, that you want each other, that you still find each other attractive, that you still want to date each other. All of these 2 things, you become business partners, right? So where do you keep the relationship? So I have these 3 pillars: communication, compromising, and romance is the only way to be able to. And they ask me sometimes when I speak on stage, because I love to speak about this, because this is something that how Bobby and I really, really were able to make it through still 34 years together, has been these 3 pillars. And when any of these fail, they all crash, because they're all 3 important. All 3 are important because, like I just said, if you don't communicate, you can't get things done. But if you communicate and you don't compromise, you're still nowhere. And then if you let the relationship just collapse and not feel that warmth and fuzzy and loved, and what do you do with the other 2?
Right.
You want to still say peace out, right? So none of the 3 are more important than the other. All 3 need to connect in order to have a successful relationship, personally, business-wise, and because if not, it just won't work. Especially when you work with each other. Because imagine, Bobby and I have been working together since we met. And we have different opinions. We have different ways of running a business, even different ways of running our employees. So, we need to communicate first before we go out and talk to employees or make a decision. And so, it's not easy. No. But Bobby and I, like everything else in business and entrepreneurship, we never find the easy way out. The easy way out is when you have a problem with a spouse or whatever, is, hey, I'll see you. Go your way, I go mine, and we'll split. Right now, we could say we'll split everything 50-50, and we're still going to both be okay, right? So it's very easy, but we've always found that finding a way to make our marriage work, make our business relationship work, is so much more rewarding than saying, let's just go our separate ways. But we luckily have we have had our issues. Bobby and I have had many times in our beginning of our marriage, we split up twice for a few weeks, and we were like, not trying, we were like, no, we're going to do the exact same thing we did with business. We're going to figure this out. We're going to make it work. Number 1 was because we were both in love with each other, right? So if the love is stronger than anything else, you're able to conquer it. But if love is not there and you're not feeling it, it's hard to conquer something. But luckily, and I guess we've been blessed that both of us feel that we're each other's soulmate. So we've worked our troubles out, and we continue. Like, it's not easy still, we still go through like any other couples, but we don't fight. And one thing I always tell a couple, if the fight is not going to create a divorce, why are you fighting? Because Bobby and I used to do this. We used to fight for days and not talk to each other. And we would go to bed and we would be like this and no touch me and 2 days later, I'm sorry. Oh, I love you. So we just let the non-refundable minutes that you're always talking about for 2 days or an hour or 3 hours, it doesn't matter, to come back to say sorry. So no, from now on, we do not fight. We have disagreements. Stop. Don't talk to me if you're mad, or I won't talk to you if you're mad. Calm down. Think about what you're arguing about. Communicate, compromise, and then you go. So, and that's what's worked for us. So, if anything I could give, it is. But again, it's entrepreneurship. Is it easy?
100%. No.
Again, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But
100%.
that's exactly that's how we envision the relationship. Business has not been easy, and we've been able to get through a lot of stuff through business. So why can't we work on our relationship and treat it, not like a business, but don't give up if something's hard. Now, if you're not in love and you don't feel that that's the right person for you, and that person's bringing you down and is not willing to communicate, compromise, and have romance in your relationship, then that's not the right person, right? You need to know a boundary as well. But Bobby and I, we have everything that, we're able to always maneuver whatever little issues. And, to tell you the truth, in the past, I don't know, probably almost 18 years, because we implemented this in our lives, we really don't have arguments that you could say, oh, we're not going to talk to each other. And it's been disagreements, and we're like, okay, we get over it. It's not going to divorce us. So,
yeah.
So that's how we've been able to do it for 34 years.
So you said it was compromise?
No, it's communicate, compromise, and romance.
Got it.
And I always say this for business partners, the same thing, but so you communicate with your business partner, your employees, you have to compromise with them as well, because you can't know it all. Your employees are the ones that are there day in and day out dealing with that, the mass. So you need to compromise with your employees. Your business partner has a different ideas. You know this. And then edifying. For me, romance in a business relationship is edifying. Edifying your employees on a constant basis, because man, if it's not your employees, your partners that we call, working on a day-to-day basis, how can you grow? I don't care how smart, I don't care how good you are, you cannot build an empire on your own. You need that village. So again, business, I treat it the same way. We communicate, we compromise, and we edify. And when you do that, you create a culture in your business that nobody wants to leave that village.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys must have had at BHG a lot of employees that have been there since the beginning.
Oh,
right?
my God.
And never left.
They and they love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
Yeah.
We have employees that still call us. We miss you guys. This culture has been awesome. They love BHG. They thank us all the time. Like, oh my God, BHG is my life. They love it because they could create. We allow our employees to communicate with us, to let us hear their voices. They're the ones dealing with the client every single day. They know what works and what doesn't. We could implement something, but if it's not working, how are we not going to listen to our employees to give us that feedback so that business could really scale? So those are our partners, what we call
That's a
them.
really good way to look at it. You just, you're flipping on its head in that scenario. Like my students, I view them as deal partners. Because we are partnering on deals.
We're partnering.
And they're changing their life. I'm helping them change their life, and vice versa, right? There's a quid pro quo there. Oops. And so you need that in any area of life.
Yep.
I have a personal question. So, it's business related, but your favorite thing once you obtain financial freedom, let's just say that first time where you're like, there must have been a holy shit moment.
Oh yeah.
Where you're like, or multiple moments where you're like, holy shit, life is never going to be the same again in that regard, right? In terms of financing and all that, the financials. So what's like money's a tool. I believe that.
100%.
That's really all it is. It's nothing more, nothing less. Some people do a lot with it. Some people don't. The relationship with money is a funny thing. Financial blueprints. We both come.
It could only make you better or make you worse.
I believe that money augments who you are.
And 100%.
If you're an asshole and you're broke,
you're gonna be a bigger
you're gonna be a bigger asshole when you're rich.
100%.
And if you're humble and very benevolent,
you're gonna be an amazing person.
You're gonna be a great person when.
Yep.
I think it's really good that you brought that up. Money does not change people. No.
It edifies them.
It edifying, to use that word.
Yes.
It really does. And I know, because even when I started to make considerable money, there were moments where I'm like, damn, I'm a little bit of an asshole over here. And I'm like, I wasn't like that 2 years ago. Why do I feel that way now? And that's an internal thing. A lot of the things that you thought, those accolades, and then you buy them, it's hilarious. When I've gotten them, I'm like, this wasn't as cool as I thought it was. All those years that you built up to that.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, what's your favorite part of having the means and money as a tool? What's been your favorite now? My
favorite has been being able to help others.
Okay.
I love philanthropy. I love to be able to assist wherever I can, and having the means to be able, again, one of the things is being able to be on a stage and give my golden nuggets, be able to give advice to others without getting paid for it. I don't need to, right? So I do it because that's the way Bobby and I both are giving back to that one Bobby and Sophie in that audience. If we could just bring light to that person, that just makes me, I love it. Being able to help charities that I'm very involved with. I've been able to make a big difference right now. I'm working on a charity that's called Ideal Foundation, and it's with adults with intellectual disabilities, meaning Down syndrome, Williamson's. There are a lot of mental disabilities that they were born with, but they're still human beings, right? So the government kind of cuts them off at the age of 22, and they think that they could just be normal adults out there and go find jobs. And so I'm bringing awareness, and this charity was trying to do stuff, but they didn't even know how to get fundraisers. They didn't know how to come out and create a charity. And I've been blessed enough to be on their board and create this charity that's coming. It's just getting off the ground, and we're going to be doing our first annual fundraiser December 9th, which I'll give you information so you can share with your audience.
Awesome.
So I've been able to do that, which makes me so happy inside that I'm able to give to this community that is completely put under a rug and nobody knows about this community. And they are amazing individuals, such loving, and
I've seen some of the videos you post.
Yeah, and they're humans. They're human beings that, nobody knows and they don't have help. They don't have the means. So that's been one of my moments is with the money, is that I've been able to help charities, others, give back to others, my family, Bobby's family.
That's got to be, you guys not only are successful, but you guys kind of broke the mold in terms of your whole family.
Yes.
You got to be the most successful people in both of your families, right?
100%.
So,
yes.
And you brought the family along for the ride too, because it's Bobby's brother as well, and his wife, and that extended family and everybody, all that, which is amazing, right? And Eddie, and you guys have this whole ecosystem.
Nephews, nieces,
you got everybody.
Cousins, mothers.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Because
mother-in-laws. Everybody.
Yeah. That's very dear to me because, my mom's in my business. I love doing flips with her. I taught her the business, and now we're going to start a podcast in Spanish, so that's going to be fun.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'm a very big family. Keep it in the family kind of thing.
Yeah.
How has that dynamic been? Because you guys made it so far. Okay. And now you're in a position where you're like, okay, we can literally write our own ticket. We can write multiple tickets, and we're happy. We can do whatever we truly want, which I believe is real happiness at the end of the day. It's not so much the dollar amount, it's the fact of the freedom that comes with it.
Yep.
Because we do live in a society where money is necessary.
Yep.
Just like oxygen.
Yeah.
So
it's needed.
Like it or not.
Like it or not, it's needed. You can't live without it, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I always tell people, as an entrepreneur, you get a lot of shit sometimes about being selfish. And I put that in air quotes, by the way, on purpose. We were talking about this off air, firing your friends, very early on. Let's talk about that for a second. I'm sure as you guys started your mission and your journey, there's a lot of people that fall off, throughout the process. It happened to me. I did it conscientiously. I did it subconscientiously too. All the people that are in my circle. It's not to say that I don't have friends from way back in the day, from where we grew up, because I do. We don't keep touch as much, but you start to lose commonality as you are embarking on a different path. And it's hard to talk to somebody who values a 401k and values a month of vacation a year, and oh my God, I love my job, and they're on that hamster wheel, and you're on the complete opposite, where you're like, man, you're making 80 grand a year, great, but you can make 800 grand a year. I mean, you know that you could do this and that. So how did you deal with that in terms of, you set boundaries, I'm sure.
We set boundaries, and that was more Bobby than I. At the very beginning, I was very upset about it, but Bobby was like, if we're going to do this, we need to break ties. We need to move zip codes. I mean, we literally went from Miami-Dade County to Broward County in Weston when it was nobody there. We were like one of the first houses in Weston, and I was like, you're putting me in this rural area. I'm in the Everglades. What do you mean? So he was like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this. We got to completely, and I am a little bit of ADD. Like,
you're
squirrel. So, my friends, not on purpose, but you get distracted,
Sure.
And the distractions stop you from being able to move forward and accomplish your goals. Mm-hmm. And then you have outside noise with these, friends and family, both. Mm-hmm. You're crazy. You don't have money.
Family's the worst sometimes.
A degree. You're going to fail. You're going to do this. They get envious of you. They start thinking, you think that you're too good because now you have your own business. And there was many different things that deter us from going forward. And Bobby said, we're picking up and going. And we did it not in a bad way. We didn't stop speaking to them first per se. We just stopped hanging around. And then it became where we were working at the very beginning. We would work 7 days a week, almost 24 hours a day. We would sleep for 6 hours and back to work.
With a kid?
With two
Priscilla.
Kids at this point.
At this point, it's Brandon too.
Yeah, Brandon too. So we were like, okay, this is the only way this is going to work, is that if we really do this. And Bobby and I decided, and Barbie and Eric decided that we were just going to move away and just let it all out and get just focus on this business. And it was hard. We had a few friends that don't talk to me no more because they, stopped talking because they thought I was, not wanting to talk to them because I was too good or whatever. It was just I was focused, and I couldn't lose track of what I was doing in order to scale and to get where we wanted to. It took that, and a lot of people are not willing to get up and let go of their normal day-to-day in order to scale. Like we talked about, even money. We stopped, we would scale back on how much money we were taking in for ourselves, and we would implement it back into the business in order to scale. So all those things, we didn't go on vacation for many years. All we would do is go to Disney World from Friday to Sunday, and we would come back. Disney was our, the big vacation.
The staycation.
Yeah. So it was like, that was the only thing we would do because we had to take the kids somewhere.
Sure.
I mean, our kids were like, we need to go on vacation and we want to see Mickey,
No, go work.
Go work. Wait, they would come to work with us. So yes, they did. Ask Priscilla, when you see Priscilla, go, Priscilla, how many tours did you do on properties? How many times did they would drive you around on Saturdays and Sundays to go see properties?
I love that.
She'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would come to work with us. But yeah, we had to let go of a lot of stuff in order to reach this empire that we built today, now we have the freedom. We could go hang out wherever we want. We could go on vacation wherever we want. We could, if we want to take off a week, a month, whatever, we can do it because our foundation was built with concrete, not with wood. So that's really solid concrete. No matter how many walls you put up there, whatever level falls, you're falling on a hard concrete. You're not going deeper than that. So once you built that solid concrete, then the rest is, piece of cake. But building that concrete foundation is the hardest part. Very, very hard.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also, look, let's talk about this for a second. You come from a different generation. I come from a different generation as well. But it's interesting because I'm first generation American. I'm the first one ever born here, right? That honor was bestowed on me. And I take it very seriously. You as well, you were born in Cuba or you were born
No, I was born here.
Okay,
first generation.
So you're first generation here. But we saw, particularly with Cuban parents, we know what they were running away from. We get it. Hence why we're so paranoid when it comes to government as far as like Cuban Americans. We don't like people touching our shit, as you know. But we grew up watching, at least for me, I'm sure for you too, but an extreme work ethic in that generation. God. Where, huge. I come from a single mom, single grandmother. My grandmother was taking care of us because my mom was working 12, 13 hours a day. 2-3 jobs. My whole life. From 5 a.m., I wouldn't see my mom till 7 p.m. Right? Thankfully, Mima was there with me all the while so that they didn't break that uniformity of family. And it sounds like Priscilla with your mom, and it was kind of similar. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, man, these kids, I got a real problem with this next generation because
tough, man.
They just have no. I don't even know how else to say this. But they don't have like the grit of sticking to something.
Give it to me now,
years.
And it needs to come made.
Yeah, it's Insta everything now. And I'm 32, and look, I see the power of social. I mean, we're living it right now, right? And I think that's great. There's a lot of. It's definitely I think it's the best time to ever be alive because you can make money a lot easier nowadays. You don't have to go.
You have so much resources.
Yeah, you don't have to go dig ditches.
If you don't make money, it's because you're not looking for the resource that you have right in front of your face.
Right, and I get that. Like when people come to me and they want to learn real estate, and they're like, "Hey, I just want to make $100,000 a year," and I'm like, "Well, you can make a lot more than that if you want." But that I see it. That like I have one student right now. Kid's absolutely crushing it. He's 25 years old. He's crushing it. 6-figure months, left and right. Awesome. No partners, by himself. But anyway, the point is that Saturdays, Sundays, that kid is grinding. That kid is working. He's really focused. He's really committed. He's not even dating. He's 25. All right. I was the same way when I first started my business. I've not lost, but I've been through 3 relationships through the whole process of my business. Yeah. Some of it my fault, some of it not my fault. Some of it just was straight up just the vision was not being bought into it. I'm like, hey, you got to go that way. I'm going that way. Yeah. I wish you the best,
and that's where the communication comes in. If you know that, then
we've tried communicating so many times, and at that point, I think people try to stay in things too long. With friends as well. Spoiler alert: everything. You can't bring everybody with you. The circle gets like that big, and unfortunately, you look like an asshole to some people, and you look selfish, but
you got to do what you got to do in order to be able to build that empire.
Yeah. And look, I bought my mom a house 2 years ago, and when I bought her the house, I said she never judged me for being, working all the time or for being selfish or everything like that. But when I told her, I said, yo solamente pude comprar esta casa porque yo fui muy egoísta por años. And that's a fact. I really only bought that house because I was so selfish for so many years with everybody. So that's why when people are like, oh man, you shouldn't be so selfish. I'm like, you need to be selfish for your family.
Yep. At the beginning, 100%.
You need to be selfish.
100%.
Because if you're not selfish, then they're not going to succeed.
Nope.
Because I can't help you if I'm broke.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Cannot. That's a fact. I can be there, a shoulder to cry on, and I can give you a little hug and a smack on the ass and whatever. But at the end of the day, real impact, I need to be a successful individual.
Yep. And then we'll talk.
And then we'll talk about it. We'll talk about our feelings, and we'll have the pity party and all that. But yeah, man, nowadays I think this generation is just, people want everything now.
Yep. You got to work at it, man. One thing I could tell you, it's not going to come easy. It's not going to come to the palm of your hands. You got to go out there and you've got to work at it. You have to get knowledge and you have to have a positive mindset, because it does get hard. It gets lonely. It gets like, can I do this? Oh my God, am I failing? I did this wrong. Now, but if you keep at it, persistence, tenacity, PMA, knowledge, perseverance, all those things, man. I know it sounds corny, but that's just the way that Bobby and I were able to do it. If we didn't have those mindsets, we would have never been here.
So your number one, that was going to be my next question, but you kind of answered it. What's your number one thing that you would say that you would attribute to your success?
It really, the PMA all day, every day, because with that, you're able to then be persistent, tenacity, because once that mindset is positive, understands that it's going to be hard, but once you keep at it, you're going to be able to reach where you want. That's all you need. All the other ones come attached to it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why we have PMA all day, every day, everywhere you see. You know, Bobby's wearing it all the time. His car, all his tags are PMA, because it really is. It's all about mindset. It's all about what you want. You could do whatever you please. It's going to be hard, but if you want it, you could get it.
100%. 100%. And I think, I shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. We just stuck with it.
Yep.
And I tell everybody, I think you need to be okay and actually very comfortable being uncomfortable for a number of years.
It doesn't matter how long.
And sucking wind. I'm just telling you the truth.
Yep.
And it's going to look like, every day is going to almost look like the whole world is crumbling around you. And that's normal.
Embrace it. Be grateful for it.
Yeah, correct.
Say thank you for this blessing, because it's an awesome lesson to learn in life. And being able to experience, I love it. I would not change anything in my life. I would not change it, because every step that we took brought us such lessons. But I do tell people, learn from mentors. Because if we would have had mentors back then, we would have shortened this whole gap of 20 something years with BHG to probably 10, 15 years. Real estate, we would have not gone through those hard times that we almost lost it all if we would have had mentors. Having a mentor in the space that you want to grow in is so important. And getting the right mentor is also another thing that's very important. But don't learn the hard way if you don't have to. They have a paved road for you. Follow it and really put your mindset to it, instead of getting that rocky road that you're gonna scrape your legs, your arms, your head. You're gonna, crack your head open a couple of times. Why? Nowadays you have these mentors that are great, and unfortunately Bobby and I were our own mentor. So now it's like, now I have my own mentor right now, and coaches and stuff on things that I want to get more educated on,
So education doesn't stop.
Oh, never.
No matter how much money you have.
Listen, the day you stop growing, you might as well bury yourself, because every day you learn something new. Every day the world is changing. Look at this AI, I don't know, AI and all this stuff. I don't know anything about that. If I don't go and learn about it, how do I know what I'm doing?
Even Amazon, Prime.
Amazon, anything you do. Look at these cars, the Teslas, they're driving themselves. I was just driving Bobby's Tesla, and thank God Bradley was with me. I had never gone in there. It's like, what is this? This is a robot. This is a damn robot, you have to learn.
Andrew doesn't like his Tesla very much.
I don't love it either. Problems. You know what? No, nothing against
he
Elon
bought
Musk.
this thing.
I think he's amazing, but
this battery
for me,
sucks.
it's like, It's
Elon, if you're listening.
Elon, I love you. I think you're awesome.
You're a visionary.
You're a visionary, but I don't know. I guess my age.
I like power in a car, and even though they're very fast cars, I just like the noise. I like the V8. I like
whatever. But
I know it sounds very.
Don't ever be the smartest person in the room. If you are, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, you're definitely in the wrong room.
So.
Yeah. You have a lot of things going on right now. Obviously,
yes.
You have Rain. Which
Rain
is
Finance Group.
Right, which is, talk to us a little bit about that. What do you got going on?
Yes, so, I can't stay still. I was getting a little bored and, being in the finance world, I really love finance and I wanted to empower women. And I notice all the time that in the real estate world and in the finance world, the amount of women that are in that industry are maybe 5%. I would say, I don't know the exact number, but it's very low.
It's low, yeah.
And I find myself that I've thrived in this world and I have never gotten disrespected. I've never gone, as a matter of fact, I'm always welcome everywhere I go. And I'm like, why don't women come into this industry? It's such an amazing industry where you can be your own boss. You could still be a mom, still be a wife and an entrepreneur in the finance world and in the real estate world. So I'm combining these two things and I'm creating this culture again, like a BHG type of culture where I'm going to teach really everybody, but I really want to focus on bringing in women to teach them this whole world, to be their own working capital or commercial capital agent, teaching them the commercial side of this industry, in the finance and in the real estate. So I should be bringing this out, maybe piloting it by October of this year.
Okay.
So I'm really excited because
cool.
The plans are huge. So you'll hear more about it once it does come out.
Oh,
but
I'm sure
yes,
I will.
And I'm working hard on this. This is something that I've been working on it almost 2 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Good for you. See, so she's still sticking with things.
Oh yeah.
Very long term.
Non-stop.
Yeah. I can't. I understand. I can't sit still to save my life.
Yeah. No, me neither.
I really can't.
I can't be bored.
No.
I cannot be bored. That's dangerous.
It's very dangerous, and it's so funny as an entrepreneur. I think you're always looking for things to fix or something to do.
Well, and again, it's backed by saying, I want to give back. Mm-hmm. I come from a very humble background with no education per se, and I was able to do it. I want to teach everybody out there, if you would just listen, you can do it too. It's a matter, again, about mindset. So I came into this world to give back, and I was blessed that myself and Bobby were able to create this empire, and now we're able to share and give back. And this is where I'm going to give back. And my main focus is women. I'm empowering women to be able to do this.
Well, you're a force as far as a woman. So anyone who meets you with the energy, you're like one of the guys, but you're like, I'm gonna fuck shit up.
I always have. I was raised with 5 boys, so
yeah. Well, yeah, I know Danny. So,
yeah.
So the 100-year legacy. I know a little bit about it, but let's talk a little bit about that. You guys are thinking, first of all,
this is something really exciting right now too.
You've changed all your generations, all the family tree. I mean, that's undoubtedly right on both sides. Eric and Bobby and you. I mean, both sides of the family are going to be okay. But you guys are thinking about 100 years down the road, right? That's what you guys are thinking of. Yes. What's the legacy going to be, and where's it going?
This is something that we've been working at for probably 4 years now.
Okay.
Since we got out of the company.
Okay.
We said, how are we going to preserve this empire that we created without getting destroyed with generations to come? So this 100-year legacy that we are creating right now, Bobby and I decided it when we got bought out of the business, was we created this now. How do we preserve this? And we had gone to Richard Branson's island on a private event. And we were able to sit down with Richard one-on-one. And he's a very family-oriented person. His family to him is his number one. And then helping the world. The most humble guy that I know that is up there in net worth is Richard.
He seems like such a likable guy.
Oh my God, he's great. And he started telling Bobby and I that he wants to preserve his wealth and create a 100-year legacy. And I said, what do you mean a 100-year legacy? And he's like, yeah, I want to make sure that my name, my money continues on this family for at least another 100 years. So I go back home and I tell Bobby, this has really interested me and I really want to know more about it. I went to my financial planner and I told him, hey, I want to do this. And he's like, oh, wait, I got everybody you need to do this. And I said, what do you mean everybody? And he goes, oh, yeah, there's actual counselors that help you create this. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, I want to meet them like right now. They've been the best thing for us. I love them. They're called Legacy Capitals with the S. They are amazing. This is what they do. They help high net worth families preserve and create a manual for your legacy to continue, to preserve it, to have your family know how to handle that torch when it's handed down to that generation. And if you look at the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts, and I'm just going to pick these two because it's ones that I studied and they made their wealth at the same time. There's many others that have good and bad in them.
Sure.
But these two were created at the same time, more or less the same amount of net worth at the time, many hundreds of years ago. Today, the Rockefellers are 7 generations in. The Vanderbilts lost it all at the 3rd generation. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So everything that the Vanderbilts own right now, it's all in a charity, on a trust. It doesn't belong to the actual family. So they lost it all because they didn't create that plan. They didn't leave no instructions. So imagine having a family that they get, here's our hundreds of millions of dollars, do with it with what you want to do with it.
What can go wrong?
What could go wrong?
It's like a condo conversion all over again.
Yeah, exactly. No blueprint, no business plan, no nothing, no wishes, no nothing.
Well, the problem is
you create a socialite.
Right. And then the problem is too, usually, what's the expression? The first generation makes it. Second generation
abuse it, and the third one loses it.
and it's really true.
Yeah.
Because what you've been through, what I've been through, we're the first generation to make the wealth. The next generation's not going to have to go through that.
Well, that's if you don't teach them, right?
Yeah.
So that was something that Bobby and I were very adamant that we wanted this generational wealth to continue on and a legacy that's left behind, because we busted our butts to create this empire that we have today. So we want to make sure that everybody, and our kids have been involved with us from day one. They've known all the struggles. They've seen them. They've seen also all the good that has come out of it from us being so persistent, so tenacity of going through up and down and not ever quitting. Mm-hmm. So they see it. So we were like, hey, don't think that because now you're sitting pretty that this is going to just be here's this silver platter and that you're going to go on, and no, you're going to work at it and you're going to input and you're going to be part of this and you're going to grow this. So we have created this, now working on it. It's not nowhere near done because it takes a lot to put it together, because we have inputs now of what Bobby and I want. Now Priscilla and Brandon, Jennifer and Eddie have an input of what they want to see, because they're going to handle that torch once we're not here. Right. And how do they teach that next generation, which is Ocean and Oakley right now, and when Brandon and Jen have their kids, and when the grandkids have their kids, and how does this continue so that they never abuse it and use it for the right thing and continue it for their 100-year, right? So we're educating, again, knowledge, educating them so that they don't do the wrong thing and they're able to use this for a vehicle that's gonna get them to even bigger places instead of just using it as a handicap and going nowhere. So it's very important for Bobby
powerful.
and I.
I don't think a lot of people are doing that. Well, not enough people. I think it's easier to just kind of give your kids what they want and, you know.
Or not give them nothing. I know a lot of people that have a lot of net worth and they're like, I created it, I'm using it, they got to do what they got to do. I'm not worried about them. And I mean, I totally disagree with that method.
Yeah, I think
that you know, everybody runs the method the way they want to.
There's extremes to everything.
Exactly.
I think, you know, you can't give too much. That's just my opinion. You can't give too much. You can't give too little. Because at the same token, it's like, you know, I did see, I know you know Ed Milet, right?
Yes.
It was hilarious. He was riding first class the other day and he posted a video. And he's like, so I'm in first class because my jet was busy or something. And he's like, I'm flying back from this place. I got my kids. And he just like pans over the camera. He's like, they're in coach. They're right there because they don't get to fly first class. I get to fly first class, but they're right there. He's just like, this is a really good lesson for them.
Yeah.
He's like, and the curtain closes.
Our kids, if we're not on the plane, if they're not going with us, they're not using it.
Yeah, because you guys fly private.
Yeah.
When you fly.
Exactly. They'll fly private with us, but when they go on vacation.
With you, though.
With us.
Yeah. It's a different story.
You know, they don't want to. I tell them all the time that we worked very hard at this. This is not cheap, number one. And you guys don't want to let go of your own money. They get their own. They work for their money. They have, you know, their own things going on.
Right.
But it's, oh no, I want to stack it. Oh, you want to stack it? Okay.
So you don't want to pay the 40 G's for the PJ.
The other day I was laughing at my daughter and Eddie. They went to I think it was California, and they flew commercial coach.
Okay.
I said, "Are you really serious that you're not even gonna pay for first class?"
Oh,
and Eddie's like, "Oh, I'm not paying." I'm like, "Wow, man, incredible." He's like, "You taught me to stack." I'm like, "Okay."
That's too much stack.
That's a little too much stacking,
but
okay.
Come on. What are you gonna ride a bus there?
But you know what? I was also very happy to see that they're also humble.
Yeah.
They know what they have, and they're still humble enough to say, you know what? No, I don't need to go first class. It's not going to bring me any value. I'm going to go on coach. And you know what? It was a nice lesson because my grandkids came back and they're like, Mimi, Papa, we like flying with you guys better.
Because they're used to, you know. That's got to be interesting too, because now you have that next generation.
But they need to learn that too, that does exist.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine that he has 2 kids now, and he usually flies private with his wife, and the kids are like 6 and 3, I think. He flew commercial with them the other day, and he took his son through the whole experience. His son's 6, you know, he's just like picking up on everything, and he's like, yeah, this is how normal people fly. Like, this is what Daddy did his whole life.
Yeah.
Up until, I don't think he flew private until he was like 36.
Oh, we didn't fly private till 4 years ago or 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, I still have yet to fly private.
So I'll invite you next time, Willy.
I'm waiting for the invite. I'm also waiting for my T-shirts with the PMA. But I keep dropping weight. That's what keeps happening.
That's right.
Every time I run into Eddie, he's like, "Papa, I have your shirt for you." I'm like, brother, I've been waiting for that shirt since 2020. Since it should say COVID on it at this point. God. I survived COVID.
I'll get you one. I'll get you, I promise.
Next time, I'm just gonna bring it up to Bobby. I'm gonna be like, Bobby, listen.
Yeah.
I really liked everything that's going on, but I'll Venmo you. Who do I have to Venmo or Zelle the money to get a goddamn PMA shirt?
Oh man, that's
because I'm not gonna give out any Willy Numbers shirts until I get a PMA shirt.
I'll get you one.
It's reciprocity at this point. Eddie, I don't trust Eddie anymore. I don't trust him. No, but Eddie's great. I mean, I always tell Eddie, I'm like, dude, because we're really good friends, and you know, off air, that's how we come to meet. The first time I ever met Eddie, this is actually a really true story. I told you I was gonna say with proximity, right? So I was at Louis Bossi in Fort Lauderdale. This has got to be like 2019, and it was middle of the day. We were sitting there. Eric Perez was there. And he said, "Oh, my buddy Eddie's gonna come by. He's just gonna say what's up." And I'm like, "All right, cool, no problem." So he showed up when you used to have the Aston. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
So he showed up in the baby blue Aston, like an asshole.
A flash dancer, what Bobby would call him.
Let's be clear. Yeah. All right? I love you, buddy, but this is the truth. Anyway, like an asshole. He showed up all loud, the top down or whatever, and he hops out, this giant 6'3", bald, big bearded.
Coming out of a little car.
Yeah, coming out of a little girl car, like a baby blue ass, and he looks like a Navy SEAL. Anyway, he walks up. He's like, hey, bro, what's going on? Hey, how are you? Eddie Chesney. Nice to meet you. You know how he is, whatever. And we talked for, I don't know, like 30 minutes. And he's like, all right, man, take care, guys, whatever. This is why the universe is a real thing. And you never know who's watching or where that next door is going to open up. And I'll tie all this together now. That was 2019. A month later, almost to the day, my ex-business partner and I were like, hey, we're ready to get our first office outside of it, because we had been working from home. We were stacking all that time too. I lived in the back of the house and the office was in the front of the house. So that's how we ran it. And it was my first rehab ever that I overspent. So we ended up keeping it as a rental. So that was our office for a year and a half. So to you kids listening out there, it's not all flashy, okay? That's how we did it. Anyway, so we go and I booked an appointment at Spaces on Las Olas that had just opened up by Regis. And that was the first office that we went to go see. You can't make this up. We show up there. I'm waiting at the lobby, if you remember, where the receptionist was supposed to meet us on the 3rd floor. And as I'm waiting, this giant bearded wonder, Eddie, comes out through the hallway. And I recognize him, but you know, like when you've met someone one time.
I know him somewhere.
And he's hard to forget. So I was like, man, where the hell do I know this guy from? As soon as he turns the corner, he's like, hey, what's going on, Babo? Hey, I'm like, hey, what's going on? I didn't even remember his name. I was like,
the
hey,
Dominican
what's
accent.
Up, brother? I was like, hey, what's going on, man? And he's like, hey, what's going on, dude? And then he stopped, and he had papers in his hand. I'm like, Eddie, what the fuck are you doing here? I'm like curious, because I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I have an office here. I'm like, you have an office here? And he's like, yeah, like me and Bob and this and that. We had briefly touched the subject of, you know, because Eric had told us, Perez, he had said like, oh yeah, man, like they sold a company, BHG, whatever. It was like in passing. So I had always wanted to meet Bobby. I didn't know you, obviously, at the time. So anyway, I asked Eddie, I was like, where's your office at? He's like, oh, we're on the floor below here. And I'm like, but you're here full time. And he's like, yeah, I'm here full time. And I'm like, and Bobby's here full time. He's like, yeah, he's running around always. And I'm like, okay, cool. Good to see you, whatever. As soon as we turned, my ex-partner was like, who the fuck was that? And I'm like, don't worry about it. And I literally looked at him and I go, and I shit you not, I said, don't worry about it. But we're not touring any more offices. And whatever the fuck it costs to have the office here, that's what we're gonna pay. And he's like, yeah, but we could view other places. I'm like, you're not understanding me. You'll thank me later, I promise you. And I was like, proximity's power,
Stalker.
man. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, but I'm telling you, for anybody paying attention to this is real.
Yeah, it is.
And I didn't do it in an annoying way or weird about it or anything like that, but literally it was seeing that decision at the drop of a dime, and I was like, whatever it takes, I want proximity to this man, to you eventually, to Eddie, to the whole thing, not because I was trying to use them for something, but I wanted to be around that. And how many times did I used to run by your office?
All the time.
All the time after that. And I would run around and I'd be like, hey, what's up, Bob? And I was like, hey, you want to check out this deal? And Eddie's like, yeah, come inside. And then one day, Bobby finally was like, why don't you put it up on the board? I was like, oh, yeah. And then I'll never forget what Bobby said. And this is why I love this guy till this day. He said, he's like, why don't, because he didn't know a lot about wholesaling.
Yeah, he didn't know at all. Yeah. At
the time. And it was a deal that we were doing. We were looking for a lender. And he's like, listen, but do me a favor. Explain it to me like a 5-year-old. And I was like, excuse me? I swear, because my background, you know, Merrill Lynch, finance. And I'm like, dude, I've been waiting for this moment. I'm about to blow this fucking guy away with all these numbers and the cap rate and I had my whole spiel lined up. Yeah. And he's like, explain it to me like a 5-year-old. And I was like, fuck, that's gonna suck because I don't know how to do that. But whatever. So I broke it down and I was like, will you sell this?
And you had to explain it. I remember. Yeah, no, you had to explain it like 3 times.
Yeah, like multiple times. He's like, yeah, but how do you make money? I'm like, what do you mean? How do you make you wholesale it? And he's like, yeah, but who's closing? Who's funding this thing? I'm like, you don't close. You sell the piece of paper. It's an assignment. And he looks at Eddie. He's like, I don't know about this shit. It's like, that was like his look. He's like, I don't know about this crap. And I'm like, look, Bob, watch. And I walk it again, and I was like, A, B, B, C, assignment, piece of paper, 50 grand.
I think we did this 3-4 times.
We did it 3 or 4 times.
I remember because we even did it at the little
at the big
little
room.
Cubicles.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah. And then finally it clicked, and he's like, wait, how long does this take you to do this? I'm like, most of them are done in 30 days or something. He's like, how much money do you have to put in? I'm like, whatever the cost of marketing is, maybe 2-3 grand. Wow, that's a fucking great ROI.
Yeah.
He's like, and you don't have to take a risk, and you don't have to close. I was like, no, we have an inspection period. Let me walk you through it. He's like, Ed, we gotta get in this. He's like, we gotta get. I was like, no. We're not building up another
competition
PhD here. Okay, you can be a lender. I'm happy to have you as a lender. So whatever. But anyway, but the moral of the story is like proximity is really power.
100%.
And that relationship, you really are only one conversation away from that kind of stuff happening.
Yes.
Also, very important though, bring value to those relationships. I wasn't just banging on their door like, hey, how are you? Like a weirdo. I was actually, providing value, and then that's how we ended up doing the 2 loans. At the time, and COVID, standing up when shit hit the fan and all that. And then, of course, learning from you guys from afar, and Eddie, learning from him, and Eddie would come in, and I would always tell Eddie, I'm like, dude, you're in such a blessed position. You have no idea. I was like, people would kill to have the proximity that you do. I mean, shit, I got an office here just for it. That's a fact.
Eddie takes pride and has gotten the knowledge. He came in and he's like, okay, I don't know none of this. I graduated from high school, but that's all I know. And I've never been in real estate. But when he came in, the first thing he did was dive into knowledge. And now he runs a huge part of the business. Yeah. Bobby and him are right there.
They're one and the same.
They're together all day long. I mean, Bobby relies on him for underwriting all the time. Any deal, Eddie's underwriting these deals, the acquisition, depositions, all this stuff. You have to, and he's really taken pride of being part of the family business, and it's been awesome. Mm-hmm. We love it because we love to have our family, our kids and their spouses involved, Yeah,
he's a super sharp dude too. Mm-hmm. I mean, and you guys aren't playing around. You guys are, one of your assets are 100 mil. I mean, that's, that's one acquisition for maybe even more.
Yeah,
I might be off, but I know during COVID, you guys, another great lesson here and nugget, you guys were...
We bought 3 on amazing deals when nobody wanted to buy.
Exactly.
But we had the dry powder also.
Right.
So
that's what I'm trying to drive at. Yep. You guys were ready.
100%.
And you guys were, I mean... You made a lot of money during that time period, right? I mean, you already had a lot of money.
Best 3 deals that we have in our portfolio we bought during COVID.
Look at that. Yep. When the whole world was burning.
Yep.
But
that was amazing.
Chaos breeds opportunity.
Yep. I love it.
Did you guys see that like from 07, 08? Now this time around with COVID, you guys were like, okay, some shit's happening here.
Yep.
Like, we got to go.
We were prepared. And our financial planner tried talking us out of it. And we were like, you're not talking us out of this. This is our family office because we love him and he's awesome. But, financial planners know financial planning. You're right. They're not in real estate. So we were like, oh, no. The money that we have in the family office for real estate is going into real estate right now in this place, even though we don't know where we're going, where we're going to be in this world. But again, real estate, no matter what, if you hold for a long term, you'll go through those up and down markets. But at one point, it's going to come back, right? It's just a matter of knowing you always buy right. It's always winning at the buy. Because if you buy at the right price, that market is, if you're buying below market, that market you're always going to go up, right? Sure. So it's like just knowing how to buy on, win on the buy. And we had learned so much from before that we were like, this is the time. This is the time we're going to do it.
It's like what they say, don't wait to buy real estate and wait.
Yes.
And that I learned that a little bit later, like 30 is when I bought my first rental at 29, 28, something like that, which is completely ass backwards, but it was 16 doors with owner
It's
finance.
never too late. So I tell everybody, there's never too late.
Yeah, and it's funny, the same way that you said you wanted to be in real estate, right? Like you guys really be careful what you wish for kind of thing. It happened to you where you're like, oh shit, this is not what I had anticipated, right? This is not what I had in mind. Same thing for me. I wanted to own a rental and I kept saying it, and you know, affirmations are real, and I manifested that shit. But the first rental I ever bought was 16 doors at one time. And I was so in over my head, it's not even funny. But I say that for anyone listening, I figured it out. That's the whole point of the story. I did not have the 300. It was an owner finance deal, 4% IO, 20% down. And the portfolio was like 1.45 million at the time, 16 doors in Hollywood. Imagínate, this is 2017. I wish I would buy that 10 times today.
Yeah.
But anyway, I needed to raise 350 grand because I didn't have the down payment. And it was owner finance. It was an older lady. And dude, I could have let that stop me, but I ended up talking to a family friend that knew a family friend, some Venezuelan guy that had cash, and he's like, yeah, I'll put up the cash. I just want like a 4% return, 5% return on my money. It's like, great, give me your money. Boom, here, I'm one of the owners. You get equity in it. We held that and sold it in the middle of COVID for an enormous amount more than what we paid.
That's awesome.
But I wish I would have kept it.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story.
We always say the same thing. We wish we would have kept all the properties, but you can't. You have to scale.
Yeah. How many doors are you guys up to now?
Right now we're about, I want to say between 25 and 28.
100.
I lose count. Yeah, 2,800 doors. Yeah.
2,800 doors.
Yeah.
Wow. What's your biggest asset, like as far as unit size?
422 units.
Wow. Where's that at?
In Texas, in El Paso, Texas.
That's one of those COVID deals.
Yeah.
That's one of the. Yep. Your IRR there is like 30%.
Oh my God, it is. We don't have no money in the deal anymore. We refinanced it with zero tax implements, and we own this deal with really no money in the deal right now because it's paying itself. Yeah.
All right. So for those of you listening, she's talking about a cash out refi that is 100% tax free. It's a non-taxable event because there's no sale. That's not tax deferred. That's tax free for life. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what's the biggest refi you guys have done?
That one. I think it was, we really don't do this much.
Yeah.
We've done it in probably 2 of our properties, where these 2 properties we've owned, we had such low leverage in it, and the cash flow on this deal, the NIs on both of these deals have been
phenomenal.
Crazy. So we've been able to refi cash out, and now really we have our money out of the deal, and it's still, and we have low leverage on the deal.
What was the refi amount, more or less?
Oh God, Willy, I don't know. I don't remember. Millions.
It was a lot.
Yeah, millions.
It was a lot.
It was in the probably 10 million, 15 million, something like that. I
tax
think
free?
Yeah, tax free.
And what'd you do with it? Go buy more real estate?
More real estate. Yeah, 100%.
Hence the stack 100%. And the rack.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Straight
they really
into real
live
estate.
This shit, honestly.
Oh, yeah. We stack and rack. We really don't go out there splurring on anything else but real estate. Mm-hmm. Really do.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more of a spender than Bobby, but still not huge either.
Right.
You know, I really value that preserving of our cash. That's more important to me than anything else. I enjoy myself. I enjoy life. I have an awesome work-life balance. I buy what I want to buy, but I'm not stupid about buying stuff that's not really going to bring me any value. You know, it has to bring me value, like happiness, like I enjoy it. You know, my car, I love my car. It brings me value.
Which one's that?
The Ferrari.
Oh, the Ferrari.
I love it. It's
like it
great. Too. You know, jewelry, I'm a big jewelry person. So I buy what I want to buy. If it makes me happy, I buy it. I'm just not.
But you've earned that.
I've earned it 100%. Again, I have a solid concrete base. So if I buy these little things, it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's one thing I learned the hard way. I'm sure a lot of us have, but don't buy things prematurely. When you think that when you're starting to see some level of success, it's common practice you're going to naturally want to go out there and buy that watch or buy whatever stupid shit it is that you want.
Until you're not solid.
Yeah.
Invest that money into a investment that's going to bring you back cash flow.
Yeah.
So.
Last words, any good piece of advice or maybe a favorite book or anything like that?
Advice, I've given you a lot of them, but again, having the right mindset and having a focus on what you really want out of life, because so many of us want so many different things, and not everybody needs to be an entrepreneur or reach a level of financial freedom. Everybody has a different one. Just really sit down with yourself, see what you want out of your life, write it down, create that vision of what you want. And I'm not talking about materialistic things. I'm talking about, what does your financial freedom look like to you? And focus on that. Get the knowledge, set your goals, and work at nothing else but that. Stay in your lane, focus, and get to your end goal. Because there's nothing better than reaching that goal that makes you fulfilled. No money, no nothing makes it. It's what makes you fulfilled, and everybody's is so different. So really focus on what you want and get all the knowledge in that goal and attack it. When I tell you, with urgent, massive action, like, go for it. And you're going to be the happiest person in life.
Yeah. Did you think that you'd be as far as you are today in your life?
Back many years ago, no. No, but probably 15 years ago, we already were focusing on this. So, but at the beginning, no clue. No clue. I didn't come into this with no expectations of being a millionaire or a billionaire or a nothing. I need to create enough income to make us have a home, be able to afford the stuff that we want to without having to ask for anything. That was the main goal.
I love it. So where can people find you on social media?
So my social media is Instagram. It's official Sofia Castro. My LinkedIn is Sofia Estrada Castro. Facebook is, I believe, is the same. You could find me on my website as well, official Sofia Castro, and you will find there. We also are creating an Upsider community, which you'll see it on my bios. So you could go in there and look it up and find out what it's all about.
Very cool. Well, thank you for being here. I got to say, it's been a lot of years that I wanted to do something like this, so I appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you. And bring you, sending you good vibes and a lot of success in your empire.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Flippin SoFlo. If you haven't already, go ahead and drop a comment if you'd like to, share it with some of your friends. Keep tuning in. We're going to have an episode just like this every single week. And we're also going to roll out the Spanish version of this podcast, where my mother, who's a flipper, and I are going to be talking about flipping together in South Florida. So once again, thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate you.